Oh yes, my Straight Talk family. You hear that theme song, and you know it is that time for me to say greetings to the entire world. As we are on the World Wide Web, and we reach and we communicate with you wherever you are on this globe. And it's time for me to say very pleasant night to St. Kitts and Nevis, and a very pleasant night to the entire Caribbean region. And for those of you in the diaspora, the Kittitian, Division, and Caribbean diaspora all over the globe, I say greetings one more time, and I can say good night, I can say good morning, I can say good afternoon, because one of such greetings will be applicable to you in the region in which you now find yourselves. Some of you are in Asia, there's some of you in Europe, some of you are in Africa, and there are a whole lot of you all over North America. So I say greetings again, my Straight Dog family. And for the first timers, because we do have first timers, because many of you continue to share that link, and I am eternally grateful. When you do, we do get first timers, and for the first timers, I say I trust and hope it will not be your last time. And excuse me, to inform you, first timers, that Straight Talk is heard every Monday and Thursday night from 8 to 10 in the PM, and we must inform you as well that Straight Talk is a participative program. And by that I mean we include your calls and we include your emails. And if you're so minded to call, the numbers are on your screens. And if you are minded to send an email as well, that number is on, that address rather, is as well on your screen. And just to inform you as well that on this program, we facilitate, we promote free expression on all issues of national interest, be they legal, be they environmental, be they technological, social, economic, and or political issues. On Straight Talk, we do have a forum to express yourselves freely. On this program, we try as well to raise the level of national, regional, and international consciousness. We try to raise the level of national, regional, and international discourse by alerting our people to their rights, to their responsibilities, and certainly to their obligations. My name is Ian Patches Liebert, and I give Almighty God thanks for blessing me with the opportunity yet again to join you in conversation, my Straight Talk family. And as your host, I always hasten to pledge that I will remain an untiring advocate of truthfulness. And I will also inform you, especially the first timers, that absolutely nothing is watered down on this program. We never try to make it more interesting, neither by omission or by exaggeration. Straight Talk is not about sensationalism. We are not about creating excitement, especially if that has to come at the expense of accuracy. Because we always lean on the facts, as it is my bounden duty to present what I call the unvarnished truth, the plain truth, especially when it comes to governance, transparency, accountability, and all that goes with them, wherever you are in the world, because this program joins us together with people not only across our federation, we are joined with people in the diaspora all around the world. And some we know very well, some we have met, others we don't know, and many we will never meet. Physically, that is. I know many of us we meet spiritually. And some of us will agree with the positions of truth advanced on Straight Talk. And some will disagree. And that's okay. That's fine. Because we are a different people, and we will have, we entertain, I should say, a diversity of views on this forum. But what will sadden me, my Straight Talk family, is if we ever become disagreeable. So let's, in the meanwhile, thank Almighty God for helping us to understand, oh, how good and how pleasant it is for brethren to dwell together in unity. Let us therefore hope and pray for that day when we will all sing his praise together. So welcome again, my people, and thanks for those who share the link. As you bring first-timers, like I say, please continue to do so. And for the first-timers, if you love it, go tell it over the mountain. Go tell it all over the world. And if you don't, please find a way to tell me. But my Straight Talk family, we always as well, we are heard live on Alexa. Those of you who have access to Alexa, and you know, all you got to say is Alexa play Massive Vibe Radio, and you are cooking on gas, as we say in colloquial parlance. But it is always an imperative for me to welcome my Straight Talk Junior Brigade. Young Dwayne, Tristan, Jasmine, Shama, Kevin, Rue, Jamal, Travis, Travon, Neymar, my grandson, Soraya, and Elizabeth, and that special lady in St. Louis, my Straight Talk family, Carla, Sandy Point, Packard. I hate to start calling because I forget names. But Straight Talk is heard, like I said, every Monday and every Thursday from 8 to 10 p.m. And we have a section or segment we call Observations in Review. When we highlight the current issues, we do some reflection, we ask a few questions. What has accomplished, for example, how it helped others? What has changed since, and what is expected next? And what new we have learned as a people. Because here on this forum, it's a learning process. And after our observations in review, we move to our thesis for tonight, which I have titled The Barbados High School, BHS. That's the acronym, BHS. Some may call it something else, but BHS for now is the Barbados High School. Public benefit or betrayal? That is the question we ask. But our first observation, my Straight Talk family, I must bring to the attention of the Ministry of Finance, the Ministry of Tourism, take that back. I need to bring to its attention the condition of the bathrooms down there at the West Bus Line Terminal. I should have forewarned you that you may not really like to see those pictures, but we have to bring you the facts, and I trust you'll understand. But these bathrooms, or this bathroom, because a matter of fact, the women's section is closed. So this bathroom, to put it mildly, is horrible or in horrible condition and really not fit for public use. And those facilities are utilized primarily by the patrons of those bars on that's in that section by the West Bus Line Terminal, and passengers in transit to the Robert Llewellyn Bradshaw Airport that come from Nevis. Also, cruise passengers tend to wander and reach to that terminal as well. But we are begging the authorities at the Ministry of Tourism, do something about these toilets. They must be kept in a sanitary condition for local residents, yes, and visitors alike. We need to do better than this. We are in, those are in our front room. Some people come from Nevis, and that's the first thing they see. And it's not a good thing, not a good sight, I must admit. And our second observation, my Straight Talk family, we move across to Antigua and Barbuda. And we know that election day is next week, Thursday to be exact, the 30th day of this month, April. And that's election day. That's when we go to the polls and cast our ballots, I should say. But the campaign is already heated up and overheated. And Prime Minister Gaston Brown, Gazzy Dread he calls himself, he has made quite a lot of promises. And one promise he has made is this one.
Thousands of scholarships have been offered to our young people. In fact, we are offering up to 2,000 scholarships annually for Antiguans and Barbudans to get a university degree here in Antigua and abroad. And let me state here that as soon as the campus expansion is completed, guess what? Free tuition! Free tuition for all Antiguans and Barbudans. I ask you a question. Isn't this a caring government? Isn't this a government who cares about the youth? In about 10 to 15 years, every single home will have 1 to 2 persons who would have had a degree. And at least 50% of our country's population will have a degree from ABCAS or from UE or some other tertiary institution. That is our aspiration for you, providing you with the opportunity to upskill, providing the opportunity for you to increase your intellectual standing. And you know why we're doing it? Because we want you to compete with the best in the world, because all competition is global. No one will be left behind under the leadership of Gaston Brown and Team Labour.
All competition is global. Very bold aspiration of the Antiguan Prime Minister, Antiguan and Barbudan Prime Minister Gaston Brown. Educating his people. And an educated people can never go wrong. Our third observation tonight is one that deals with the cost of living here in St. Kitts and Nevis and life generally. Because under this Terence Michael Drew administration, life is becoming harder and harder. And no one is spared, it seems, especially the poorer ones. Poor man relish like mackerel, we cannot afford to buy. And I told you that some weeks ago or months ago. I recall, my Straight Talk family, when I informed you months ago that saltfish had gone, or the price of mackerel, what am I saying? The price of mackerel, The price of mackerel had moved from $18 or $17 to $21.50 per pound, my straight dog family. $21.50 per pound. I think I have the wrong one there. The price of mackerel had moved to $21.50 per pound. And suddenly it jumped to $29.99 to $30, almost a $9 jump, my straight dog family, to $29.99 per pound, my straight dog family, $30 per pound. And currently, in a few weeks or just about a month, mackerel has jumped again to $31.99 per pound. $31.95 rather. That's $32 per pound. Imagine $32 per pound of mackerel under this Jew Labor administration. So the days of eating mackerel and breadfruit or dumpling has now become a luxury dish under this Terence Michael Jew administration. And he has no answer for the poor. None at all. You hear him talk about imported inflation, so he gives us no relief. Poor people get no relief, my street dog family. Like I said, he provides no answers. Period. Ask about the high prices at the gasoline pumps, for example. Terence Michael Jew's only response is this: to encourage people to avoid driving, he said, unnecessarily. Imagine that, my straight dog family.
Encourage our people to take measures. If you don't have to drive and use a lot of gas, don't do it. Turn off your electricity because we continue to subsidize electricity. Turn off your lights, because we continue to subsidize electricity. Conserve as much as you. Use resources more efficiently, because we are dealing with a world where there is a war that is driving up the cost of living that has absolutely nothing to do with the government. Those are, I will call, external things that we have to suffer.
But the government must do something. But Drew has no idea. He's not a thinker, and he can't think on his feet. But my straight dog family, his only advice is to avoid driving unnecessarily. Imagine that, my straight dog family. But those are my observations in review for tonight. But that's the kind of leader we have, a leader whose head is somewhere else. I can't tell you. But those are my observations in review for tonight. And I move right into my thesis, which I have titled, as intimated earlier, BHS. And that acronym means the Barbados High School. And we ask the question: is it a public benefit or betrayal? That question we will explain as we move on. But tonight, we are all in conversation at a moment when we should be beaming with pride. A moment when the construction of a new Bastille High School could have stood as a symbol of national progress, opportunity, and self-reliance. Instead, my straight dog family, it has become a troubling example of how we are allowing our own development to slip through our fingers, my straight dog family. But when a prime minister spews a high level of ignorance and calls his own people disingenuous, we have to be cautious. We have to be cautious with such a leader who accepts no responsibilities whatsoever. My straight dog family. Such a leader is dangerous, as some would hasten to add. Instead of accepting responsibility, we have a leader who makes excuses. All sorts of excuses, my straight dog family. Instead of accepting responsibility, like I said, he accepts no responsibility whatsoever. And he calls his people, like I said, disingenuous. So what kind of leader is that, my straight dog family? What kind of leader we have saying things like this, my straight dog family? What leader puts his people down when his people are so accurate?
And so when I hear people say that here you have a school being built and seems like the money is going out of the country, you're going to have scores of people hired here to build the school. Already they have invested a significant amount of money here. The earthwork, the heavy equipment, the maintenance, the security. Who has done all of that work? That work has been done by local companies here in St. Kitts and Nevis, Preconco being a local company itself. And so it is not only disingenuous, it is misleading and flat out lying to the people of this country that all of this money will simply go to Barbados.
And when you have a leader taking that position, you have to pray to the Almighty and do not sin your soul. Just pray and say, forgive him, Lord. He knows not what he says. Because yes, a school is being built. Yes, we are told it represents investment in our future. But we must ask, whose future is truly being built? Because the decision to manufacture major structural components, wall panels, floor slabs, and columns, for example, the decision to manufacture them not here at home, but in Barbados, is not just a technical choice. It is a political choice. It is an economic choice. And the choice of Terence Michael Drew sent a clear message to all and sundry. And the message is that Terence Michael Drew and his cabinet was willing to export opportunity. They were willing to export jobs. They were willing to export skills that rightly belong to the people of this country. Terence Michael Drew never cared about petitions and divisions, as he listened to his comrade.
My name is Lennox Warner, and my livelihood is construction. When I recognize the quality and qualifications of our local people, I am still wondering and baffled. Why is it that some of our local engineers, why some of our architects are still playing second fiddle? Why? It is bothering to me. So much people can boast of their track record. We as skitishans, we want to boast of our track record too.
And why not, my Straight Talk family? And that was 7 years ago. In 2019, at a town hall meeting or at a meeting or a consultation or consultative meeting in connection with the construction of the first Basse High School. But think about what is being lost, Prime Minister Jew. Skilled tradesmen and women in our federation, the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, are being denied the chance to learn modern precast construction methods. Local contractors are being sidelined. Suppliers of materials, cement, aggregates, hardware, like SL Horsford and Company Limited, TDC, the St. Kitts Masonry Products, Concrete Masters, and Contact, if it still exists. They are all cut out of this major project. They are all cut out of this major project that should have energized our domestic economy. Instead of circulating money within our borders, a significant portion of this project's value is flowing or has already flown outward to Barbados. This is not development, Prime Minister Drew. This is dependency dressed up as progress. So what are you calling disingenuous? Terence Michael Drew, you and your team of incompetent experts try to convince us that this approach is efficient. You try to convince us that this approach is modern. But efficiency cannot and should not come at the cost of national capacity. Modernity cannot mean marginalizing our own people. Terence Michael Drew, our Prime Minister, hear this. True development is not just about erecting buildings, my brother. It is about building people, building industries, and building resilience. And then there is the deeper concern, which is the very framework under which this project is being executed. Yes, this project, we are told, falls under the Citizenship by Investment Program, approved through the Public Benefit Option. But let us be clear about what the PBO was meant to represent. The Public Benefit Option was designed as a partnership where private developers would bring their own capital, bring their own money, and take on the financial risk, and in return, they'll be allocated shares so that they can recover their investment through the sale of these shares or the sale of investment units. The people would benefit from the completed asset, debt-free. And this option was first introduced as the alternative investment option before, and you renamed it in 2023 the Public Benefit Option. But here was the rationale for the AIO, or the Alternative Investment Option.
Is under the Alternative Investment Option, we created two categories of investment. One is, and I'll categorize it as privately funded, privately owned. This is where a developer builds the initiative that meets a government mandate, and he or she ultimately owns the initiative in the long term. There's no transfer over to the government. So if the first project that fell under this category would be the middle-income homes that's by the Liamega Development Project. So that falls under privately funded, privately owned. The developer is selling basically at real estate levels. The difference is that he's not building a hotel, and this is where it comes under the alternative investment option, because it allows us to allow the developer to capture some of his investments through the citizenship by investment unit while delivering on a government mandate. So that's a Liamega project. The second initiative would be privately funded, state-owned. The developer does not own the initiative. The developer starts putting the money up front and starts construction almost immediately. So that initiative would be the second one that we have. And the first project to be approved under that would be the new correctional facility.
And that was back then, my Straight Talk family, in 2022. Yet, here we are, facing a situation where tens of millions or millions of dollars, we are told, has been advanced to the benefactor, my Straight Talk family.
The last one that I want to come to, Madam Speaker, is the Bastille High School. I heard construction has started, and so I went up there to see the construction. Not even a hot to see up there for the workers to use. This is what I saw. But Madam Speaker, I've saved this one for last, because I have some questions to ask about that, Madam Speaker. If construction has started on the Bastille High School, who is the contractor which has been awarded this particular construction project? Who is the contractor? Member for number one was quite vocal a few minutes ago. Who is the contractor? Is it a company by the name of Pre-Conco, saying it's limited? Is it a company by the name of Pre-Conco Limited? The member for number 8 said nobody must speak about Bastille High School. And he said some 20-something million had been spent. $21 million had been spent and nothing there to show for it. Has Pre-Conco been given $10 million US to date in respect of mobilization fees for Bastille High School? Has Pre-Conco been given $10 million US to date in respect of mobilization fees for the construction of Bastille High School? Member for number one, gone quiet. Has Pre-Conco been given a contract for $100,350,000 to build the Bastille High School? $271 million to build the Bastille High School?
And those questions have not been answered. We hear that $27 million was loaned. But public resources committed in a way that contradicts the very spirit and rationale of the public benefit option. So we must ask again, who benefits? Is it the people who were promised economic empowerment? Is it the local businesses that should have thrived? Is it the young men and women who could have gained valuable transferable skills? Or is it a select few who have found a way to turn public policy into private advantage? This is not merely about one project. This is about a pattern where transparency is lacking, where accountability is blurred and where national interest is too often an afterthought. We cannot continue going down that road, my Straight Talk family. We cannot. We must demand a development model that prioritizes local participation. We must insist that when public programs are used, they are used in a way that aligns with their stated purpose. We must ensure that every major project leaves behind not just concrete and steel, but knowledge, skills, and opportunity for our people. And let us be clear, Straight Talk is not against progress. Here on Straight Talk, we are not against innovation, but we are against any approach that sidelines our citizens, sidelines our own people, weakens our economy, and undermines the principles of fairness and transparency. This country belongs to its people. This country belongs to all of us. Its development must serve its people. And so, tonight, we raise our voices, not in opposition to the building of a school, but in defense of building a nation. Let us examine the issue of transparency, the convergence of opacity and exclusion. Those things, and when things come together, convergence, I think it has Spanish roots meaning together, with, together. But opacity and exclusion, they expose a failure of governance and create an environment in which corruption risks are elevated and public trust is undermined, because transparency is a safeguard. Consultation is a legitimacy check. So when both are absent, the project becomes politically vulnerable, economically questionable, and institutionally weak. The deliberate exclusion of public scrutiny and participation has transformed this major infrastructure development from a national project into a closed-door process, one that citizens are asked to trust, but are given no tools to verify. Under Team Unity, the people were consulted. That cannot be disputed. The people were given the tools to verify. The environmental impact assessment was made available, and consultations were held, my Straight Talk family.
It is my esteemed pleasure to welcome all of us to this very important exercise this evening. It is one in which we have come together to engage you, members of the public, as we proceed with the construction of the new Bastia High School, a school that is dubbed the state of the art, one of the best, if not the best, in the region. A school that we would expect would serve many generations to come. And so we have assembled a team of very competent, very qualified persons to address the various facets of this project.
And yes, consultation. The very cabinet secretary, or the current cabinet secretary, I should say, is Arthurian. But I say here tonight, Marcus Natter miserably failed the four-way test. Because while in opposition, NATO, you were given an opportunity. Dr. Nato, you received the tool, the environmental and impact assessment. You received the tool to verify. And you did not only scrutinize the project, you recommended more consultation. Nato, how could you forget this?
I live in the area. I read in the EIA that we have to do some drainage along Courts Road. That road is called Maurice Paul Drive. That's the road I lived on and grew up on. So I would like to see that corrected in the next iteration of the EIA. Unfortunately, tonight has been quite long for our town hall. So I am also hoping, and Minister of Education is here and I'm happy to see him, that we have a second round of this because but I would love to have another session. You also, on page 3.4, you talk about a minor wall, again, to mitigate runoff. So you talk about it being in a high flood risk area. Again, adding to the cost of it. Why do we need to do that? I would like you to also describe for me what is an engineered tile field. You had tile field in quotations. I know about drain fields, but I wasn't sure what a tile field is. So if you can clarify that for me.
To those who went before, they got 2 questions.
Order.
As I said, I look forward to another round.
Good. Marcus Nato. Wanting another round of consultation. But now, what's happening? Nato is the cabinet secretary. All we can say, my straight dog family, what a hypocrite. Hypocrites in the Jew administration. The consultation provided tools and experts. And I recall then Director of Planning, the late Randolph Edmead, he too outlined the process.
Now, I'm the Director of Physical Planning, and in that role, I'm also the Secretary to the Development Control and Planning Board. Okay? Now, my role here tonight is to outline the involvement of the Development Control and Planning Board in the approval, in the review and approval process in relation to the Bastia High School, including drawings and EIA and all of those things. Now, let me start by saying that all development activities are done in accordance with the provisions of the Development Control and Planning Act of 2000. That is the act which guides development activity, whatever form they may take in St. Kitts. So it is from that perspective that the board's involvement in this whole process was done. And the board's involvement officially started with the submission of the design proposal and the main features of the new Bastia High School, and the preliminary drawings, layout, and those were submitted to the Development Control and Planning Board for the first stage of the approval process. That is what we call outline approval or approval in principle.
And my straight talk family, we will hasten to establish whether Preconco has conformed to the requirements of the Development Control and Planning Act outlined by the then director. We have no reason to say they have not. But Straight Talk raises the question as well as to whether the BHS is a public benefit or betrayal. Because the construction of the BHS under the Citizenship by Investment Program, the CBI public benefit option, represents a fundamental contradiction between stated policy intent and actual development outcomes in St. Kitts and Nevis. While framed as a project designed to deliver public infrastructure without burdening the state, the execution of this BHS reveals a model that externalizes economic value, weakens domestic capacity, and reallocates public benefit toward private and offshore interests in Barbados, to be exact. At the core of this contradiction is the decision to manufacture major structural components in Barbados using precast systems rather than developing those capabilities locally. This approach effectively exports a significant share of the project's economic value. It exports jobs. It exports skills acquisition, supply chain participation, and industrial learning out of St. Kitts and Nevis. In doing so, it undermines one of the central tenets of sustainable development. To wit, public investment should catalyze domestic economic activity and build long-term productive capacity. The implications extend beyond immediate economic loss. By excluding local contractors, tradesmen, and suppliers from meaningful participation, the project forecloses opportunities for technology transfer and workforce development in modern construction methods. The result is not merely a missed opportunity, but the reinforcement of structural dependency, where even publicly justified infrastructure relies on external production rather than nurturing local industry. Compounding this issue is the apparent deviation from the intended framework of the public benefit option itself. Designed as a mechanism where private developers assume financial risks and recover investment through CBI inflows, the reported extension of substantial loan financing to the project's benefactor raises critical questions about risk allocation, accountability, and policy integrity. Instead of minimizing public exposure, the arrangement suggests a hybrid model in which public resources are leveraged without corresponding guarantees of public return. Rather than exemplifying innovative development financing, the BHS project exposes weakness in institutional design and governance within the CBI framework. It illustrates how loosely defined public benefit criteria can be interpreted in ways that dilute local impact while maintaining the appearance of national progress. Ultimately, the case of the BHS forces a broader reckoning whether infrastructure development in St. Kitts and Nevis is being used as a tool for genuine economic transformation or a conduit through which value is systematically extracted. The answer to that question will determine whether such projects serve as foundations for national advancement or stand as monuments to mixed opportunity. In conclusion, I believe the latter holds true. Terence Michael Drew has missed a golden opportunity to include local contractors, tradesmen, and suppliers meaningfully in the transfer of technology and workforce development in modern construction methods. So what he does, Terence Michael Drew moves onto the local site as if he is the consultant engineer. What is the budget cost? What is the construction cost of the BHS? And how many shares were allocated? Those questions he has failed to answer. Terence Michael Drew has lied, as usual, about buying materials locally. Imagine this.
I am very pleased to see what has been happening here at the Basti High School site. I am surprised at the amount, with respect to the amount of work that is being done. We are trying to move as expeditiously as possible to ensure that the school is ready for our students. This is already producing local jobs and expected to produce much more local jobs. That will be an economic benefit from this program. The other matters is respect to materials that are bought locally. That too will benefit the local economy. So
what materials were bought locally? And the slow student Jeffrey, just as bad as local workers he spoke about on the site.
All of the foundation has been dug to the depth that is needed, and what we will see next happening is that the ground will be compact and get ready for pouring of concrete and the steel. They are already on site, and as we indicated, that the workforce here at the Basti High School would be locally driven.
Locally driven, he said, my Straight Talk family.
All of the foundation has been dug to the depth that is needed, and what we will see next happening is that the ground will be compact and get ready for pouring of concrete and the steel. They are already on site, and as we indicated, that the workforce here at the Basti High School would be locally driven.
Locally driven, he said. Yet the rotten steel was brought from Barbados in containers, already cut and bent. Look at them. We have skills here, my Straight Talk family, to cut and bend steel. It was done. Local workers did this at the New Cruise Pier. Look at that work. But take a close look at the rotten steel, I call it. Corroded steel, perhaps is the right word. I call it rotten. Take a close look. Is there adequate corrosion protection on this reinforcement steel? More so for steel going into the foundation. These are questions we must ask, especially given the history of Picanco Limited. It must be imperative to undertake a third-party inspection, especially for this high-risk project. This is to ensure that an impartial review is done of the steelwork. But my Straight Talk family, quite alarming, very alarming though, were the comments of the executive director of the CIU, Calvin St. Just. For the record, I must state, I do not know the executive director. I don't know from whence he came. But I always thought, and I say this respectfully, that St. Just was a square peg in a round hole in the context of CBI. And I came to that conclusion on the basis of his many utterances from the moment he got his job. And I reconfirm that as late as yesterday when he said this, my Straight Talk family.
I extend a heartfelt appreciation that the St. Kitts and Nevis Citizenship Unit is a partner in providing the necessary funding for this inaugural project. It falls under what we consider as a public benefit option. And truly, as you look across this area in terms of what's being done, this truly is the symbolic process of what we call public benefit option, because it will benefit the entire public, not for today, not for tomorrow, but the future generations. And I'm very pleased, as I said, to have secured all the necessary funding to ensure that this project gets the full completion that it deserves.
How has St. Just secured the necessary funding for this project? My Straight Talk family. Has the CIU changed its role? The role of the CIU is to manage and regulate the process by which foreign investors can obtain citizenship. And that includes several key responsibilities: application processing, due diligence and background checks, program administration, approval and recommendation, and safeguarding the country's reputation. In short, the CIU must act as the gatekeeper and regulator of the Citizenship by Investment Program, balancing economic benefits with national security and credibility. But he said he secured the funding. What is a public benefit option? We mentioned earlier, and it bears repeating. The PBO replaced the Alternative Investment Option, AIO. Like the AIO, the PBO is geared towards privately funded development initiatives, whereby an approved benefactor develops a specified industry in St. Kitts and Nevis or constructs government-approved infrastructure. The CIU stopped accepting CBI AIO applications after the 10th of March in 2023. And this, on your screens, my Straight Talk family, tells you all about the public benefit option. And it is self-explanatory. But go to the last page on your extreme right on your screens. And let's read this together. Who can apply for projects to be designated as an approved public benefit project? And it reads, discerning investors who would like to develop an industry, finance the construction of a real estate development project on state land, construct a real estate development project on land to be transferred to the state. What else do you want, my Straight Talk family? But that's not what the CEO or executive director, I should say is his right term, right office, St. Justice said. Well, my Straight Talk family, Terence Michael Drew, the slow student Jeffrey Hadley, and Calvin St. Just are all just trying to change the narrative and pretend that something is happening with the BHS. So I checked my sources, and I was reliably informed. And in a strong Belgian accent, my contact told me, "Man, nothing going on in Barbados since you left." He told me nothing has happened since I left Barbados. Remember that I told you, my Straight Talk family, I went to Barbados. Don't forget that. I went right to Picanco. Right there. I went there. I bought a ticket and went to Barbados to confirm what's going on and confirm that no precast panels, my Street Dog family, no precast panels were ready for shipment to St. Kitts and Nevis. So don't allow them to change this narrative and have some excavator or whatever equipment digging up the place as if something is going on. Do not be fooled, my Street Dog family. In closing, I submit that the persistent lack of transparency and accountability within governance structures under this Terence Michael Dew administration unavoidably, inevitably fosters an environment where corruption can thrive. And this raises serious concerns about intent, about integrity, and about public trust. In the context of the BHS, this absence does not merely reflect administrative shortcomings, but calls into question whether the institution continues to serve its intended public good. When leadership operates without clear oversight or responsibility, stakeholders are left to question whether mismanagement is incidental or systemic. Ultimately, the case of BHS illustrates a broader dilemma. Without deliberate commitment to openness and accountability, institutions risk shifting from pillars of public benefit to symbols of betrayal. And that is why we ask the question, Barbados High School, BHS, public benefit or betrayal? And that's my story tonight, my Street Dog family, and I am not going to change it. Let me hear from you as I open the lines momentarily. And when I do, I anticipate that you will respect others. And of course, to achieve that, you must first respect yourselves. Let us try to be fair to all concerned, and let us try to build goodwill and better friendships. Let us ensure that the things you say and or do will be beneficial to all concerned. And in doing and or saying those things, let us strive to build a kinder, gentler St. Kitts and Nevis. Caller, you are live. It's 9:06. Are you there, caller?
Good night, Mr. Lyberg.
Good night, my dear. And how art thou?
I am great.
Always good to hear you.
Most betrayals don't come from evil people.
Yep.
They come from weak people.
Yep. Yes.
Who couldn't carry the weight of loyalty.
Who couldn't carry the weight of loyalty?
Who couldn't carry the weight of loyalty.
The weight of loyalty, okay. Yes.
I repeat, most betrayals don't come from evil people. They come from weak people who couldn't carry the weight of loyalty. Have a great evening.
Have a great evening as well, and thank you. That's my quotation is. Most betrayals don't come from evil people. They come from weak people who couldn't carry the weight of loyalty. Always thought-provoking quotations and well in context. Good night, sir. Yes, Bible man, you're pretty early tonight. Yes, sir. You are live. Bible man, you're live. We're hearing you loud and clear. Oh my. Yes, sir. You're loud. We're hearing you loud and clear.
Hello.
Bible man, for the last time, you are live on Straight Talk. We are hearing you loud and clear. Listen to the telephone. Are you there?
The first part of scripture pattern. You hear me?
Yes, go ahead, Bible man.
The first part of scripture. Psalm 92. It is a good thing, give God thanks unto the Lord, and singing praise unto the Most High. To show forth his loving kindness and in the morning, and thy tender mercy and thy faithfulness every day. Psalm 93 passage. Here. The Lord reigneth and clothed with majesty. The Lord is clothed with strength, where with help and guide himself. The world also established, and it cannot move. Psalm 90. Psalm 94. Psalm 94. The Lord God, to whom vengeance belongs. O God, whom vengeance belongs, to show thyself. Now, Psalm 101 passage. Here in Psalm 101. Listen carefully. He that walk deceitful, hear this. He that walk deceitful shall not dwell in thy house. He that tell liar, listen what it says. He that tell lie shall not tarry in my sight. Here Psalm 41 said, blessed is the man that considereth the poor. In the time of trouble, the Lord shall deliver him. Yes, you hear that?
Thank you very much, my brother.
So, I am reading. So, Psalm 102. Hear my prayer, O Lord, and cry unto thee. That is, good night. Have a pleasant night, right?
Thank you very much. You have a pleasant rest as well. We always welcome your biblical interventions. For a moment, I was wondering if you want to give us your roadmap, Psalm 41. But that's the Bible man always provides the verses for us. But yes, my Straight Talk family, we asked them, do you believe it's public benefit or public betrayal? Because, as we said, this is designated the Barbados High School is designated as a public benefit option. But I've heard some comments made by the executive director, and I found them troubling when he said this. And perhaps my interpretation is bad. Who knows? But he said this.
I extend a heartfelt appreciation that the St. Kitts and Nevis Citizenship Unit is a partner in providing the necessary funding for this inaugural project. It falls under what we consider as a public benefit option. And truly, as you look across this area in terms of what's being done, this truly is the symbolic process of what we call public benefit option, because it will benefit the entire public, not for today, not for tomorrow, but the future generations. And I'm very pleased, as I said, to have secured all the necessary funding to ensure that this project gets the full completion that it deserves.
And it's confusing my choice of family, because remember that Terrence Michael Drew said they got $27 million. He called it a loan that would be paid back. And now the executive director says he has secured the necessary funding. And his interpretation of public benefit option is so misplaced. We know that the public benefit option replaced the alternative investment option. But like the alternative investment option, the public benefit option is geared towards privately funded development initiatives, not government funded. What is he saying? But it's geared towards privately funded development initiatives, St. Just, whereby an approved public benefactor develops a specified industry in St. Kitts Nevis or constructs government-approved infrastructure using his own money. That's why you allocate these investment units or shares for them to sell, so that they can recover the money they spend. Something is going on that they're not telling us. First, you have not told us how many shares were allocated, how many investment units were allocated. We hear already that it is some 3,000. We cannot confirm that, because 3,000, if you read from your screens, the minimum contribution for a main applicant is $250,000 US. As you can see from that center page, contribution requirements US $250,000. 3,000 would be $750 million. Forgive me if my maths are wrong. Remember, I said maths is my strongest weak point. But nothing has changed. But they have not told us what is the cost of the school. They have not told us how many shares were allocated. Everything is under or done in the dark. But my Straight Dog family, remember I told you that I visited the Pre-Conco factory in Barbados. I made a trip all the way to Barbados. See me there by the Pre-Conco entrance. And I confirmed, and I reconfirmed just yesterday, that nothing has changed since I left Barbados. There are no panels, no precast panels for St. Kitts, my Straight Dog family. So don't be fooled. They can go and start moving dirt all around. My Straight Dog family, we got to wait to see what's going to happen with the school. But They just want to change the narrative and pretend that something is happening with the BHS. And I checked my sources, my Straight Talk family, and nothing agwan, as they said, my Straight Talk family. But let's go to the lines and say goodnight to this caller. Caller, you're live. Hello, caller.
Good night. Patches, good night. Good night. Ian Patches, good night.
Good night. Sounds like Mr. Politics. How are you, sir?
Patches, your son law. Turn up the volume. Your son law. I could barely hear what you're saying.
Go ahead, Politics. I have the technicians.
Yeah, okay. Patches, I always want to thank God for life. And thank God for a blessed country. And thank God for Straight Talk. Because Straight Talk is the program that bring the ills and the pain where the ordinary man in this country are feeling right now. And even people, the middleman in business, feeling the grunt of this evil people we elect in government. They don't know what to do. And we got to do something about it when election comes. Patches, my little input tonight. Most of these contractors, you see, come out of the sugar industry, Patches. A lot of these guys work in the sugar industry. And when Pam come in 1980, a lot of them went into construction and elevate themselves to the construction. Who in the carpentry, the mason, the tiles work and all kind of thing. And Patches is a disgrace to see that we're a Labour government who say they care for poor people. Patches, then build a hospital here and a school here and foreign entity gonna come in and do it. Patches is disgrace, you know. Look what happened to our young engineer. These guys who went to college to study engineering and them things, Patches. What happened to our young carpenter, our tradesman? What happened to them, Patches? Patches, that's why I tell my people in this country, you know. Stop, look, and listen. And listen to Straight Talk. Because Straight Talk is coming straight. And the things they're talking, up to now, none of them tell you you lie. You lie, you're telling lie on the country, you're telling lie on that, you're telling lie what the government is doing. Patches, we got to get real. People, we got to get real. And I want to say good night to the diaspora, to the people like my good friend Jones there in Nevis, and to welcome from over there, from Maligno, but he live in the state. Patches, we got to be real and something got to happen when this election comes. Patches, you have a wonderful night. I get back.
Thank you very much, my dear brother, for your usual input. And let's see what our emailers are saying here. My Straight Talk family. Dear Patches, so hold for a second for me, dear my brother. Yes, dear Patches reads this email. It must be said that Dr. Drew has achieved what generations of engineers could not. He has liberated water from the burden of actually reaching people. In its place, we now enjoy a far more refined system where tanks are seen, desalination is spoken of, and relief exists most vividly in statements. The communities of St. Peter's, New Road, Gillards, Shadwell, and Lower Monkey Hill have been invited to participate in this higher understanding. Each night, as taps fall silent, households are given the opportunity to reflect on the progress Buckets become instruments of patience, and hygiene a matter of careful planning rather than simple routine. It is, in its own way, a disciplined society being built. One cannot ignore the precision of it all. Water arrives at the exact hours when it is least needed, and disappeared with admirable punctuality when people return home. This is just not inconvenient, This is the order, a system so finely tuned that no one is left out of the experience of going without. And still the language flows. There's always more coming, always improvement, always reassurance delivered with the confidence of abundance. The tanks stand tall in their photographs, composed and full, untroubled by the pipes that lead away from them. In the end, the country may not be well supplied with water, but it is exceptionally well supplied with the ideas of it, reads this email. And yes, they talk a very good talk, my Straight Dog family. Good night, Patches, reads this other email. Permit me to write this email with the most disturbing thing I heard a few days ago from one of my godsons, and I decided to write to you on Straight Talk to get some clarity on these shocking and upsetting issues I've heard for 2026. One of the reasons I am writing, because you were totally involved in the program and you are qualified to throw some light, beg your pardon, on the matter. Patches, the houses built on the Wellington Road and were issued to persons who were qualified as applicants. My godson got one of the apartments, and he told me when he got his that he was told that the houses cost $95,000, and he will have to make his payments monthly to the National Housing Corporation. And this he has been doing, and even paying more than he should pay. He has even made some upgrades in his apartment. He changed the countertop, changed the ceiling fan, and other changes, and he was told when he was completed the $95,000, he would then own the apartment, and now he is told that he can never own the apartment. He just pay his monthly rental. Is shocked, as this was not the information he was given when the keys was handed over to him. Patches, he now upset and wants to know what to do because the Labour government changed the order of the day. Please, Patches, throw some light on this matter, as you are the minister responsible for this project. The Labour crazy government is doing as they like, but night runs until day catches it. Patches, what is going on? My godson is so upset. He has taken some time off and left the Federation to get his mind at ease. He called me and informed me that he's having sleepless nights, even though he's out of the Federation, and he's wondering what he should do. His family is very upset. Please, Patches, throw some light on this matter. A concerned and confused godfather. Well, let me say first, I was never the minister responsible for the houses. Those houses came under National NHC, and the minister responsible for housing back then was Hamilton. But in terms of the question you're asking, I will have to do my own research and find out what exactly is the disposition with the houses. When we did in fact negotiate those houses, the intention was always that one would pay to eventually own the house. I remember when my time was there, I was kicked out in 2020, and I recall the only thing that was not finalized was the common fees, I think they were called, where the tenants would pay towards the upkeep of the area and so environment and so on. I don't know if that was in place. I know the AG back then, Ducey Byron, was thinking about the legislation in terms of the condominium laws, so you could capture the homes under some particular piece of legislation. But I'll have to investigate that, my dear emailer, and see what I can find and provide information so I don't mislead you at all. I will have to get those facts for you, but very interesting position, right? And don't forget our quotation for tonight. Most betrayals don't come from evil people. They come from weak people who couldn't carry the weight of loyalty, is our quotation for tonight. And this other email reads, Dear Patches, one must admit the smooth efficiency with which CARICOM consensus operates these days. A matter is agreed, announced, and presented as settled, and then almost with perfect choreography, one of the principal actors quietly suggests that perhaps it deserves another look. Enter Chairman Drew, who has guided us through the delicate act of declaring agreement while simultaneously discovering that agreement may still be in consultation. It is a remarkable skill, really, to chair a process to completion, only for that completion to be politely request a sequel, and not just any sequel, but one called by Prime Minister Andrew Holness, who has now suggested that the matter be revisited as though finally we are merely a draft version of governance. The irony is almost too neat. A chairman presides over consensus, only for consensus to develop second thoughts the moment it leaves the room. Drew Lai should be ashamed of himself. Nothing is said directly about his handling, of course. There is no need. The simplest diplomatic move is often the most revealing. Just reopen the file and let the original certainty explain itself. Holness has not accused, criticized, or confronted. He has simply stepped aside from the outcome, leaving the impression that the process may have arrived at agreement a little too confidently for its own good. So we are left with the familiar CARICOM rhythm. Decisions made, decisions revisited, and leadership defined less by arrival than by how quickly the destination becomes negotiable again, via that email. And yes, we have not been following this Dr. Carla Barnett's story in terms of that CARICOM Secretary General. Yes, we know that Holness made some suggestions, but I will get an update on that particular story, my Straight Talk family. There are many who have said she ought to resign rather than damage the integration of CARICOM. Yes, my Straight Talk family, it's 9:32. If you have just joined me, we are tonight discussing our thesis, which I labeled BHS, the Bastille, or the Barbados, rather, the Barbados High School. Public benefit or betrayal? That's the question we ask. What we have found, my Straight Talk family, is this development is fraught with so many issues. And really everything that Drew and his cabinet does are fraught with so many inaccuracies, so many, anomalies, and so many issues. And when we should have been meeting at the moment that should have been a source of pride. A moment when the construction of a new Basi High School could stand as a symbol of national progress, opportunity, and self-reliance. What we found instead has become a troubling example of how we are allowing our own development to slip through our fingers. But then when a prime minister spews a high level of ignorance, my Straight Talk family, it provides us great cause for concern. Because when a prime minister can call his own people disingenuous for talking the truth, that to me is troubling. That to me, my Straight Talk family, is troubling. I said that, wow, it's really troubling, my Straight Talk family.
And so when I hear people say that here you have a school being built and seems like the money is going out of the country, you're going to have scores of people hired here to build the school. Already they have invested a significant amount of money here. The earthwork, the heavy equipment, the maintenance, the security. Who has done all of that work? That work has been done by local companies here in St. Kitts and Nevis, Pre-Conco being a local company itself. And so it is not only disingenuous, it is misleading and flat out lying to the people of this country that all of this money will simply go to Barbados.
You know, my Straight Talk family, someone reminded me that when I asked the question, if I knew that Pre-Conco was here in St. Kitts. And I hasten to say yes. And I'll hasten to remind you that I don't think that it's something they would like to boast about. Because Pre-Conco was here with that Clico housing development. And I'm sure many of us remember what went wrong with that Clico housing development. Remember the issues with Clico. Matter of fact, the head of Clico almost got a jail in Barbados. And we are told if it wasn't for his contacts, he would have been in prison. We don't even know if that Clico issue is finalized to this date. But I don't think that's something that that's a feather Pre-Conco would want in the hat, having been associated with those Clico houses up there in the Monk Hill area. But that's beside the point for now. But think about what Drew has said. The choice of Terence Michael Drew has sent a clear message to us. He calls us disingenuous, but he has told us that he is willing or was willing to export opportunity, to export jobs and export skills that rightly belong to the people of this country. Terence Michael Drew never cared about Kittitians and divisions. He cared about himself. Think about what is being lost, Prime Minister Drew. Skilled tradesmen and women in our Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis are being denied the chance. I said before, and I have to repeat it. Skilled tradesmen and women in our federation are being denied the chance to learn modern precast construction methods. Local contractors are being sidelined. Some have learned the methods before when we constructed that new cruise pier. Suppliers of materials benefited immensely. TDC provided tons and tons of steel. St. Kitts masonry products provided the concrete. So, suppliers of materials, cement, aggregates, hardware material, like SL Hosford and Company, TDC, St. Kitts masonry products, are now concrete masters, and context, if context still exists, are all cut out of this major project. They are all cut out of this major project that should have engaged our domestic economy. What is Drew saying? Isn't he aware that instead of circulating money within our borders, within our economy, a significant portion of this project's value, and we understand it's almost 2/3 or more. 2/3 or more of the project's value has gone to Barbados. This is not development, Terence Jew. This is dependency dressed up as progress. Terence Michael Drew and your team of incompetent experts try to convince us that this approach of precast slabs or panels is efficient. And perhaps you're right. But why manufacture them in Barbados and have to ship them to St. Kitts? How mad is that? Efficiency must not come at the cost of national capacity. Modernity must not mean marginalizing our people. Terence Michael Drew, true development is not just erecting buildings. It's not just about erecting buildings. True development is about building people. True development is about building industries. And true development is about building resilience. You see, like we build resilience across the old road bay, that stretch of road, a local company did that. $37 or $40 million. Everything local. All the aggregates came from our quarry. The only thing was imported was the asphalt for the roads. My Straight Dog family. And a local company did that. Build resilience across Old Road Bay. So modernity cannot mean marginalizing our people. And true development is about building people, industries, and resilience. And the deeper concern about the CBI we have raised, my Straight Dog family. And for those who may have missed it, the PBO, or the public benefit option, was designed as a partnership where private developers would bring their own money, bring their own capital, take on the financial risk, and in return, recover their investment through the sale of shares or investment units. And that was the original thinking under the AIO, which was changed by your government to the PBO, my Straight Dog family. This was the rationale, or still is the rationale of the AIO, now PBO.
Under the alternative investment option, we created two categories of investment. One is, and I'll categorize it as privately funded, privately owned. This is where a developer builds the initiative that meets a government mandate, and he or she ultimately owns the initiative in the long term. There is no transfer over to the government. So if the first project that fell under this category would be the middle income homes, that's by the Liamega development project. So that falls under privately funded, privately owned. The developer is selling basically at real estate levels. The difference is that he's not building a hotel, and this is where it comes under the alternative investment option, because it allows us to allow the developer to capture some of his investments through the citizenship by investment unit while delivering on a government mandate. So that's a Liamega project. The second initiative would be privately funded, state-owned. The developer does not own the initiative. The developer starts putting the money up front and starts construction almost immediately. So that initiative would be the second one that we have, and the first project to be approved under that would be the new correctional facility.
Yes, the developer must put his money up front. What happened? You gave Preconco $27 million. It was Sean Richards who revealed that. And you came with the flimsy excuse, Terence Michael Drew. Flimsy excuse. So Preconco, it seems, have brought no capital to the project. And that's the concept of the public benefit option. The developer must bring their money and recover from the shares they have sold. They have been approved, given, and have sold by Straight Talk family. That's what the developer should do. Hear what you said, St. Just.
I extend a heartfelt appreciation that the St. Kitts and Nevis Citizenship Unit is a partner in providing the necessary funding for this inaugural project. It falls under what we consider as a public benefit option, and truly, as you look across this area in terms of what's being done, this truly is the symbolic process of what we call public benefit option, because it will benefit the entire public, not for today, not for tomorrow, but the future generations. And I'm very pleased, as I said, to have secured all the necessary funding to ensure that this project gets the full completion that it deserves.
So where did you get your money from? Where did you secure that money for this funding from, St. Just? How? Has St. Just secured the necessary funding for this project? Has the CIU changed its role? That's the question we asked tonight. Has the CIU changed its role? Because it's very simple. Very, very simple. But my Straight Talk family, Terence Michael Drew, the Stowe student Jeffrey, and St. Just are all trying to change the narrative. Because nothing is going on with Preconco. Have they sold any shares? What is the situation? How many investment units have been allocated to Preconco? All that's a secret. No transparency, my straight talk family. When Team Unity were in office, we were transparent. There was consultation, I said before, my straight talk family.
It is my esteemed pleasure to welcome all of us to this very important exercise this evening. It is one in which we have come together to engage you, members of the public, as we proceed with the construction of the new Bastia High School, a school that is dubbed the state of the art, one of the best, if not the best, in the region. A school that we would expect would serve many generations to come. And so we have assembled a team of very competent, very qualified persons to address the various facets of this project.
Yes, my children family, there was consultation. Why no longer that exists? Why no consultation? Is the question we ask my straight talk family. Things have changed. But as we wind down tonight's program in my straight talk family, we have to reiterate for Terence Michael Drew and for St. Just. The CIU has not changed its role. The CIU, as I mentioned earlier, must act as the gatekeeper and regulator of the citizenship by investment program. It must balance economic benefits with national security and credibility. You're not to be securing no funding for no developer. That's not the role of the CIU. Let's go to the lines and take perhaps 2 more calls before I wrap tonight. Caller, you are live. I'll make you my penultimate call for tonight. You're live. Hello, caller. Are you there, caller? Okay, we seem to have missed that call. Are you there, caller?
Yes, Francis. Good evening, man. How you doing tonight, man?
Oh, I am peaceful, my brother. Yourself?
Yeah, pretty good. I'm getting some feedback, man.
You are?
I'm getting some feedback.
Is that any better?
Nah, I don't think it's gonna get any better. But anyway, man, let me just ask you a quick question, man. Good evening to you and the listeners. As you're explaining this Picanco thing, right? That company, right? Are they an investor to this Bastia High School?
I'm sorry. Yes, there should be. They are a public. It's called a public.
No, I mean, I'm trying to get you to really put this thing clearly, so a 5-year-old can understand this. Because,
but a 5-year-old can understand. It's the right terms used in the law, in the legislation, in terms of the program. It says developer, which is in fact an investor.
I'm losing you. I don't have a good connection, man. I'm losing you pretty badly.
Mm-hmm. Well, go ahead. Just make a point, and then you can listen after you come off.
Yeah. So they are providing materials for the high school. You know, I mean, these are the type of questions I got that they want you to differentiate. They're providing the slabs, like, you know, when you went down to Barbados, the material that they manufacture down there in Barbados. They're providing those materials and they're getting paid for those materials, right? So I'm trying to ask you if this company is the developer developing the Bastille High School.
I was saying to you that under the public benefit option, the rationale is geared towards privately funded development initiatives, whereby an approved...
Patches, I'm sorry, man. I'm going to abort this call, man. I'm not getting that good communication, so you're losing me and I'm losing you.
I am not losing you. So listen to the make a point and then you can hang up. I can hear you loud and clear.
Yeah, okay. So I just need some differentiation.
So just
because if they're going to get paid, they're going to get paid from the government for those materials, right? That they manufacture it.
Make a point and I'll make your point. You say you're not hearing me. Make a point and you hang up and I'll explain it to you after.
So that's my point. My point is,
so then
the materials that they're manufacturing down there in Barbados, they're going to get paid for those materials.
They must be paid, yes.
And they're still going to be able to maneuver to sell shares. So is that like double dipping? I mean, I'm just trying to get a feel of what you're saying here. And I'll leave it there. Because I got a bad connection tonight for some reason.
Okay, sir. All right, thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, thanks, man.
Okay. I was saying that the public benefit option, which replaced the AIO, the alternative investment option, like the AIO, both of them are geared towards privately funded development initiatives. So yes, the developer, call it investor, brings their own money, gets the land from the government. They are allocated a certain amount of shares or investment units, which they go and sell, so they can recover the money that they have spent. But these are on government-approved projects. And I did play this soundbite, which is self-explanatory, by the former CEO of the CIU, who said this.
Under the alternative investment option, we created two categories of investment. One is, and I'll categorize it as privately funded, privately owned. This is where a developer builds the initiative that meets a government mandate, and he or she ultimately owns the initiative in the long term. There is no transfer over to the government. So if the first project that fell under this category would be the middle income homes, that's by the Liamega development project. So that falls under privately funded, privately owned. The developer is selling basically at real estate levels. The difference is that he's not building a hotel, and this is where it comes under the alternative investment option, because it allows us to allow the developer to capture some of his investments through the citizenship by investment unit while delivering on a government mandate. So that's a Liamega project. The second initiative would be privately funded, state-owned. The developer does not own the initiative. The developer starts putting the money up front and starts construction almost immediately. So that initiative would be the second one that we have, and the first project to be approved under that would be the new correctional facility.
So yes, the developer would bring their own capital, bring their own money, and they take on the financial risks. And in return, they are allocated shares to recover the investment through the sale of these shares or investment units. Caller, you're live. Hello, caller.
Good evening, my husband. How are you?
I am peaceful. Yourself?
This is Calicon Aunt.
Yes, how art thou tonight?
How was the week? How was the weekend?
My weekend comes up from tomorrow.
Huh?
My weekend comes up from tomorrow. How I will tell you about it on Monday.
Oh, okay. But everybody okay in your family, in good health, everything?
Yes, thank God. Yeah.
Yes,
What about
praise
you?
God. I'm glad to hear that. May the Lord strengthen you every day. Give you good health and good strength that this program can go on. And may He watch over you and put His guardian angel to protect you night and day as you step out and step back in. Because God is good and He's great.
Yes, thank you.
And no weapon that form against you tonight they shall prosper. And every dirty tongue lift upon you shall go back down to the pit of hell. Mr. Lloyd, but what I want to say tonight, right? I know election is nearby. So these gentlemen walking around now and want to brainwash people and fool people and feel like people is what? Is a donkey, so they want to come back again, come fool the donkey them. But I want to see Mr. Lloyd. When did they come to go by the polling station? If these people put in St. Kitts and Nevis can put them back in, the doom will dead if they put them back in. Because Dr. Joe and he cabal them, the backside done full and running over with people tax money, and the horse them done bill. But your poor man who got an N80 horse, you got to pay, must be 6 times you got to pay for the horse there. And you ain't gonna live to see your horse get pay off to say name you won. The generation gonna come and go in it and pay and pay and pay. You there?
Yes, I'm listening to you, man.
Okay, I could hear your voice. The generation them gonna come and they're gonna have to pay and pay and pay. Why the politicians them treating poor people like this? Why? Why they treating poor people like this? Poor people ain't supposed to be treated like this. And when 5 years they're coming back again, come talk about, give them another chance. I will want them come by me gate, you know. I will want them come by me gate. I'm going to make sure not me and I'm going to slap them. Right in the face, I'm going to slap them. Right in the face, I'm going to slap them. Labor ain't no goddamn good. They got the place in a mess. Upside down. Everything they got inside this country are going wrong. From the time they're going in there, it's wrong thing they're doing. Lie they're telling to poor people who put them inside there. Okay. Everything Dr. Harris do, he done with everything. Every Harris up on the media anyway, he called Dr. Harris' name. Why he calling Dr. Harris' name? Dr. Harris coming back powerful enough. He coming stronger and stronger. Watch him good when he talk.
Okay, thanks you.
He coming back stronger and stronger. So they better wait and rate the hand because the same thing that thing man seriously, get the wheel of them, he coming back to hand the backside.
Okay.
Get the wheel of them because they don't know what a shit what they're doing. None of them are in parliament tonight. None of them, they don't know what they do. They cannot run this country, the bitter ass who run a country.
Okay.
It's not easy task. It's a bitter ass who run a country.
Okay, Kalai Kwazan, thanks a lot for your contribution. Always.
Yes, baby.
Have yourself a wonderful weekend. I still have not met you as yet. I wonder why.
I will want to you. I will want with you.
Okay. Have yourself a wonderful weekend.
Yes, baby. I love you.
I love you more.
You be safe and you have a wonderful evening, you and your family.
Thank you very much. And you do likewise.
Yes, no.
You do likewise. That's Kalai Kwazan. Always full of passion. Caller, you're live. Hello, caller.
Thank you. Thank you, Brother Patrice. Good night to all the listeners. I must acknowledge Mr. Politics. That's one crusader that we could never left out because he hear us. And all we are doing is delivering a message. And I know some people will like to shoot the messengers. But it's okay. Now, Patrice, when someone get involved into situation for the better of mankind moving forward or their family, they should deliver. And if you don't deliver, it look as if promises are comfort for fools. And it's about time for the Federation, the people of the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, to stop allow themselves to be comfort for fools. They are not. And far too long. They got to put a stop to this. Because what is the benefit from since the new administration has leading the country? What is their record? What are their records to show that? Empty promise, empty promises. An administration that convinced the people that they shall do this, they could do this, and they will do this. And at the end of the day, the end of their term, nothing. And they still continue to peddle that lie. All I can say, if the people put this administration back into power again, whatever comes to them, they deserve it. Sometimes we hang ourselves, you know. But I hope they don't hang themselves. We out here are fighting. And other voices are fighting. But is it coming on deaf ear? Lord help us.
Okay.
I leave it right there. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That's the way. We're going to end it for tonight, my Straight Talk family. And this is our final email. It seems that across the region, especially the islands with CIP, the leaders have something to hide. They are encouraged by institutions like the OECS, the Central Bank, CARICOM, UE, CCJ, the Bar Association of the Islands, corrupt business people, and the public greedy, stupid, and scared. A Commonwealth Criminal Tribunal should be established to investigate and prosecute the guilty. This is not just a St. Kitts virus, it is regional. And I've been hearing something about the EU and our CBI or CIP countries as well. And not good news, I can say, but I'll have to check the veracity of what I'm hearing. But my Straight Talk family, the time is done. I gotta run. But I want to leave you with this question as it relates to the PBO and the BHS. We asked, who benefits? That was the question we asked. Is it the people who were promised economic empowerment? Is it the local businesses that should have thrived? Is it the young men and women who could have gained valuable, transferable skills? Or is it a select few who have found a way to turn public policy into private advantage? This BHS saga is not merely about one project. This is about a pattern. A pattern where transparency is lacking, where accountability is blurred, and where national interest is too often an afterthought. My people, we cannot continue going down this road. We must demand a development model that prioritizes local participation. We must insist that when public programs are used, they are used in a way that aligns with their stated purpose. We must ensure that every major project leaves behind not just concrete and steel, but knowledge, skills, and opportunity for our people. And let us be clear, we are not against progress. We are not against innovation. But we are against any approach that sidelines our own people, weakens our economy, and undermines the principles of fairness and transparency. This country belongs to all of us. Its development must serve all of us. And so today, we must raise our voices, not in opposition to building a school, but in defense of building a nation. We examine the issue of transparency, the convergence of opacity and exclusion, the expose a failure of governance, and create an environment in which corruption risks are elevated and public trust is undermined. Transparency is a safeguard. Consultation is a legitimacy check. And when both are absent, the project becomes politically vulnerable, economically questionable, and institutionally weak. The deliberate exclusion of public scrutiny and participation has transformed this major infrastructure development from a national project into a closed-door process, one that citizens are asked to trust, but are given no tools to verify. My Straight Talk family, as we wrap, the question as well as to whether the BHS is a public benefit or betrayal, because the construction of the BHS under the Citizenship by Investment Program, public benefit option, operates or represents a fundamental contradiction between stated policy intent and actual development outcomes in St. Kitts and Nevis. While framed as a project designed to deliver public infrastructure without burdening the state, the execution of the BHS reveals a model that externalizes economic value, weakens domestic capacity, and reallocates public benefit toward private and offshore interests in Barbados. At the core of this contradiction is the decision to manufacture major structural components in Barbados using precast systems rather than developing those capabilities locally. This approach effectively exports a significant share of the project's economic value, jobs, skills, acquisition, supply chain participation, and industrial learning out of St. Kitts and Nevis. In so doing, it undermines one of the central tenets of sustainable development. To wit, public investment should catalyze domestic economic activity and build long-term productive capacity. The implications extend beyond immediate economic loss. By excluding local contractors, tradesmen, and suppliers from meaningful participation, the project forecloses opportunities for technology transfer and workforce development in modern construction methods. My Straight Talk family. And in conclusion, the big question, I believe, holds true. Is the answer to that question, my Straight Talk family, will determine whether such projects serve as foundations for national advancement or stand as monuments to missed opportunity. So my Straight Talk family, in conclusion finally, the BHS under the PBO, my Straight Talk family, leaves a lot of questions to be answered. Because there's a persistent lack of transparency and accountability within governance structures under this Terence Michael Drew administration. Unavoidably, it forces an environment where corruption can thrive, raising serious concerns about intent, integrity, and public trust by Straight Talk family. In the context of the BHS, this absence does not merely reflect administrative shortcomings, but calls into question whether the institution continues to serve its intended public good. When leadership operates without clear oversight or responsibility, stakeholders are left to question whether mismanagement is incidental or systemic. Ultimately, the case of the BHS illustrates a broader dilemma. Without deliberate commitment to openness and accountability, institutions risk shifting from pillars of public benefit to symbols of betrayal. That's why I asked the question tonight. Barbados High School, BHS, public benefit or betrayal? And that's my story tonight, and I'm not going to change it. I want to thank Almighty God for guiding our conversation tonight, as always. I want to thank you, the many viewers, the listeners, those who sent emails and those who called, just to remind you that you are the ones who make Straight Talk. And for that reason, I say a big, big thank you. Until we connect on Monday for another edition of Straight Talk, have yourselves a wonderful weekend. Go to the beach, go to the church. I'm going to church. But do your chores. And remember, whatever your mind conceive, that you will achieve. But first of all, you got to believe. So when you wake in the morning, thank God for the morning light and thank Him for taking you through the night. And my Straight Talk family, keep moving on. Bye-bye. Until we connect on Monday.
The morning, I thank God for the morning light. Give Him thanks and praises for taking me safely through the night. For the rest of food and loving care, and for my mother's breath of life that's got me here. So whatever my mind conceives that I will achieve, you better believe, because I do the things I should, be to my brethren kind and good, the best I could. So I'll keep moving on, I won't stop now, I'll keep moving on, till I reach the top somehow. Down on my knees, the Lord I kneel and pray, with my heart and soul, beg Him to take me through each day, my guardian to keep, and my guide, over every step I take, He will preside. So whatever my mind conceives, that I will achieve, you better believe, because I do the things I should, be to my brethren kind and good, the best I could. So my brethren kind and good, the best I could. So I'll keep moving on, I won't stop now. I'll keep moving on, I gotta reach the top somehow. I'll keep moving on, I won't stop now. I'll keep moving on till I reach the top somehow.